Hey, everybody. Before we get into today's conversation, I want to let you in on something behind the scenes. We had a few tech glitches with this one. The first time we recorded, we did an audio conversation, and Randy's mic didn't connect. Then we decided, okay, let's just do a video. And that time, my mic didn't connect properly. So, TLDR, if you know, you know, we ended up with two versions and honestly, two different conversations. This one is the carefully crafted storyteller version, the one you're hearing now. But the video one, I'm just going to leave it as it is. It's not perfect, it's a little messy, and I'm okay with that.
I endured a lot of traumas in a very short period of time. During COVID, I had gotten transferred from my job. COVID happened. I tore my ACL skiing. I had the surgery on the very last day they were doing elective surgeries before the world shut down. So I was recovering from ACL surgery with my kids home at the time, and there was so much uncertainty in what was going to happen in life. And then my marriage started to implode. By September of 21, we decided there would be a divorce. Put my dream house on the market in January, and it sold in a week. March was the move out date. And in that space, right after the house sold, I was out looking for couches with my mom, and she got really sick and went into the hospital one night and had a surgery. Things went wrong, and she was in for 3 weeks, and she ended up passing away February 2nd of 2022. And then I had to move out March 8th. So, I mean, God, as I look back, it was literally like an out of body experience. Selling a house, moving a house, divorce, my mom passing, my 3 children at the time trying to be a mother in whatever way I could, trying to regulate myself and going to work and trying to also care for myself, uh, and maintain my self-care practices, which have always been my foundation. But it was hard. It was really hard. During that time, I completely broke down. The life that I knew.
When losses stack like that, one on top of another, our nervous system doesn't get time to return to baseline. We stay in survival mode, hypervigilant, flooded, exhausted. The brain isn't processing, it's just trying to keep us alive.
Everything that created my identity was gone. It was gone. Uh, so I wasn't okay, and I wasn't okay not being okay. And at that time, I went to some really dark places, and it was scary. It was really scary.
Psychologically, when everything tied to identity collapses, marriage, home, routines, roles, the brain experiences it as a threat to self. Grief isn't just sadness, it's disorientation. I'm Dr. Jess Hayden, and you're listening to Simply Heard: The Space Between, a podcast about psychology and the lived experience. I'm really excited about this series. This is just part one to a multiple session series on different ways in which we self-abandon and ways in which we can move towards a path of self-reclamation. This week is just an intro where we answer the question, what is self-abandonment and how do we get there? And what does self-reclamation really look like? Today, we're talking with Dr. Randie London. Randie is a psychologist, a mother, and someone who has walked through loss and rebuilding in a way that feels honest and human, not polished, not performative. She works with women who are trying to remember themselves again, after divorce, after identity shifts, after the life they planned doesn't look like the life they're living. And what I love about Randie, well, I love a lot of things about Randie, is that she doesn't talk about healing like a finish line. She talks about it as a homecoming, slow, imperfect, and deeply compassionate. Randie and I met at Kripalu, a beautiful yoga retreat nestled in the Berkshire Mountains of Massachusetts. We were both there for a workshop led by Danae Logan, author of Sovereign Love, a book that had a profound impact on both our lives. We forged a fast friendship that weekend. It was like we'd known each other for years, and we continue to keep in touch on a fairly regular basis.
Sovereign Love was one of many books that I read in my journey. Being there and being with Danae and continuing to explore the masculine and feminine energies, it's just a part of my continued commitment to myself and my own growth and healing process. I mean, we haven't gone into my story and we will, but one of the things that I have discovered is how much I absolutely love being in spaces where the people who are gathered with me are there with the intention of being authentic, of being curious, of
Mhm.
exploring, of growing, of gaining knowledge, of supporting each other, of hearing about the human experience. When I go on these retreats or workshops, it feels very different than what everyday life feels like. And part of my goal is to really integrate that so it doesn't feel so different. I know that part of that comes from me because it's how I show up authentically in the spaces that I enter. And I intend to be a person that gives other people permission to be authentic in the real world.
Group spaces activate something powerful called co regulation. Being around emotionally safe people can literally help calm the nervous system and widen our capacity to feel without shutting down. Our brains are wired to borrow stability from other nervous systems. Being with emotionally safe people can downshift cortisol and help the body remember what calm feels like.
When I was first going through my divorce, it felt so lonely. I was on group chats and this and that before that, invited to barbecues, and life got real quiet. And the people who were really my friends, they reached out and they were there and they checked in on me, but it's different after you get divorced. And so the only places that I really felt held were when I went to these workshops at the Holistic Center for Soulful Living and at Kripalu. A lot of times, people that are giving workshops and doing healing work have been through a lot of their own pain, and they've taken their experiences, they've transmuted their pain, they've found their ways of healing, and they want to give it back. I love being able to talk to girls in high school and in college and give them this knowledge and challenge them on their habits and patterns and relationship dynamics and invite them to explore why they choose the things they choose and how they can take action in their lives that are aligned with what is true for them rather than shape shifting and editing themselves and contorting themselves to be who they think other people want them to be. So, as I've seen my own personal clients be inspired and be like, wow, this is great stuff. And like, this worked. And I did this and I said no. And like, they're having these wins in their lives. I was going to lots of workshops and being with women myself for a long time. I was like, why can't I sit there? I have so much to give, so much to offer. I want to be there guiding women in a bigger, larger space and creating that collective energy of love and support and this container for all of the struggles that we experience as women because we need that.
She realized she didn't want just to heal, she wanted to offer what she was learning to others. Out of that experience came the desire to create a workshop for women who might be walking through the same kind of pain she had lived through, a space to share the wisdom she gleaned from her own healing journey, and to remind women they don't have to lose themselves in order to be loved. Welcome Home, A Path to Self-Reclamation was born of that. When Randie brought the idea to the Holistic Center, she thought she was just sharing a dream. She explained the vision, a circle of women, grounded, honest, real, and they loved it.
So when I pitched it to the owners of the Holistic Center, it was going to be an 8 session, 90 minutes a session workshop. And they were like, this is awesome. How about you do a kickoff event in January where it's a 2 hour workshop and you talk about the whole concept of self reclamation and welcome home and You do little segments and snippets of all the sessions. And then after that, you're going to start the 8-session series, and people can come pick and choose, or they can sign on for the whole series. I really am looking forward to going deeper into each of these areas of this path. But really, I'm on fire to create this healing space that others have created for me.
And just like that, it became real. She wasn't the attendee anymore. She was the one who would be sitting at the front of the room, holding space, guiding, leading. And softly, that familiar whisper showed up. Are you sure you know what you're doing? She called me that weekend. We talked through the nerves, the excitement, the weight of stepping into something that matters.
The more people I talk to, I find that this imposter syndrome is a very universal experience. And it really surfaces when we choose to step out of our comfort zone. Because when we stay safe and we play it safe and we only choose the things that we're comfortable doing, we're like, okay, I can do that. I know how to do that. I'm going to stay here because I know how to do that. But it's when we take the big risk, we get excited about something and we actually take a leap and we take a step, that imposter syndrome comes up. And for me, what that is, it's my inner critic. It's my ego voice. It's that voice. And it's funny because I read this thing once that it was like, you should give your ego a name. It helps to dissociate. So it's like this voice. It's not me. It's not truth. It's just his voice. So anyway, maybe it's cliche, but I named her Karen. So Karen will pop her head in and be like, "You don't know what you're talking about. You're going to sound stupid. You can't get this together." People are going to be like, "What is she doing? Why is she who does she think she is that she can do this? She never wrote a book. She never did this. She never did. I don't have the credentials."
Because if someone tells you they're starting something new, something they deeply care about, and they don't feel scared or doubtful or a little shaky inside, I'm not sure they're being entirely honest.
And so I hear those voices. And what I've learned in my work through meditation and a lot of the growth work I've done is to just observe it, be a witness to those thoughts. I hear it, I feel the tension come up in my body, but I'm aware of it. So I take some deep breaths, I breathe into that space, and that's self soothing, caring for taking care of my bodily reactions and my emotions. And I do some positive self-talk, and what I say to myself lately is, if God didn't want me to do this work, or my higher power, for anyone else, it's whatever you believe, a higher power, God. For me, I say, God, if God didn't want me to do this work, he never would have put it in my heart.
Yeah.
And if it's in my heart, and when I think about it, when I talk to women about it, I feel energized. I light up. I get tingles. I feel awake. And again, in that flow state, if that feels so good and so right, that is what is truth. That is what's authentic and that's what's real. And when we talk about our intuition and knowing what's the right choice to make about things, one of the things I've learned is that when it's right, when you're hearing truth, when you're feeling truth, it will feel easy. It will feel peaceful. It will feel calm. And when it's the critic and when it's the ego, it's an anxious feeling. It's coming from, like, a space of anxiety and fear. And so when I hear that critic voice and I sense my body getting all dysregulated, I know that's just fear. That's just anxiety. So the way that I push through it, I use my tools and I take care of those things and I remind myself that I have a bigger purpose and I'm on a path here in this life for a reason, and that's it. Because 'cause I've learned that the playing small and shrinking, that does not feel good, it doesn't work, it keeps me stuck, it keeps me in unhealthy spaces, relationships, and all of that, so I am on the path of taking aligned action with what feels like truth to me.
Before we go any further, I want to name something that sits at the heart of Randie's work, and honestly, at the heart of this conversation. Self reclamation isn't about creating a new self. It's not a makeover or a glow up or some perfected version of you. And, We don't talk about perfect here. It's quieter than that. It's noticing all the places we learned to leave ourselves, the moments we said yes when our body was saying no, the ways we softened our truth, kept the peace, disappeared a little so we wouldn't lose love or stability or belonging. That's self abandonment. And self reclamation is the slow, compassionate gathering back of those parts, our voice, our boundaries, our needs, our worth, and learning how to stay with ourselves, even when it's uncomfortable.
So the idea of self-reclamation, I mean, I'm not gonna take credit for it, like, I just came up with it. It's really like an integration of so much of the knowledge that I've gained from amazing authors such as Danae Logan, Martha Beck, Elizabeth Gilbert, Najwa Zabian, Tara Brach. So really, self-reclamation for me was born from the realization that so many women, myself included, have lost touch with our authentic selves. And moreover, many women don't even know what that means. I didn't even know what that meant to be authentic. I was like, I don't know, I'm just like me. So many of us have set out on this path in life that was laid out before us, society standards, Disney movies, our rom-coms, and this whole idea of how it's supposed to happen. So we blindly step into this path in life believing that this is what we're supposed to do. This is the way. We go to school, we get the job, or we go to college, we get the job, we meet the partner, we get married, we buy the house, we have the kids, we put them in every sport imaginable and not really have quality time with them, but we do it. And we hang out with groups of women and we have a crew and we drink alcohol all the time because it's cool and it relaxes us. And now we're going to be happy, right? We should be happy. And I believe that there's a voice in each of us, and I heard it for myself, and whether it's a whisper at first or maybe it becomes a scream that we can no longer silence. That's really what happened for me, and it's the voice inside that says, "Something's not right here. Is there more than this? Am I made for more than this? Is this all the rest of my life is gonna be? Am I truly living the life I wanna live?" As I'm sitting there with the right group of people and the big houses and the kids are all playing, and shouldn't I just be happy with what I have? Why do I feel this disconnect? Something in my heart, something in my soul, as I'm drinking it away and just observing everything around me, I've had those moments where I hear that voice. Is this all there is? No one's broke. No one needs fixing. Reclamation, it's a remembrance of who we are at our core before our conditioning, before all the stories, before we're programmed by all the messages that we received from society and our parents and everything else. It's an opportunity to take inventory of where we're at in our lives and figure out what is in alignment and what's not. It's an opportunity to tune into our bodies and listen to that voice within, what's in our soul. It's a chance to have the support of other women who can also reflect to us in their own stories where we've gone off track. And we can totally delve into the ways that we've abandoned ourselves.
Reclamation isn't about reinvention, it's about restoring agency to the parts we exiled. And now we're getting into some internal family systems therapy.
We talk about this concept of self abandonment. And I say to make the square peg fit the round hole. I use that when I speak to my clients a lot. Like, this sounding to me like it's a square peg and a round hole kind of situation. But mostly, it's a discovery of the ways that we can shed our stories, our habits, our patterns that no longer serve us, and how we can adopt new behaviors, new thinking strategies, learn to set boundaries, learn to communicate effectively, learn about new healing modalities that support us so that we can be the most authentic version and most powerful version of ourselves and live lives where we're not just surviving, not like, oh, I made it through another day, but where we can just wake up and take joy in the simple things and feel aligned with this life. Elizabeth Gilbert in All the Way to the River calls it life school. We're here for life school, and some of us want to just skip some of the lessons, and we can't skip the lessons. We're here to learn them. So this reclamation is an opportunity to get curious about what those lessons are and look at all of the circumstances of our life, the events, the experiences, the people who are in our life, and say, what am I here to learn? That pain, that trauma, what are these people here to teach me?
Somewhere along the way, many of us absorbed the message. You need the house. You need the perfect partner, the perfect body, the right job, the right image, the right story. And slowly, without even noticing, our worth starts getting outsourced to all of those things. If I don't have the big house, who am I? If I don't have the partner or the family, does that mean I failed? If I don't have the job, the income, the car, am I still enough? We put so much of our value into things that can disappear in seconds. And when they do, we mistake the loss of the thing for the loss of our worth.
Yes. So this is actually, I mean, I could do a whole, God, series on this, but this is Najwa Zabian wrote a book called Welcome Home. And the concept of welcome home that she discusses in her book is really about building a foundation within ourselves. And she said this one thing, and she said, when we build our homes in other people, and we outsource our sense of self-worth, our validation. We need things from other people to be okay. We don't believe we have within us what we need. So we're always seeking that externally from a partner, from the job, from achievement, from all of these other things. But when we externally source those things, we don't have a solid foundation within ourselves. And as long as we do that, we always have the risk of being homeless because anyone could take
Oh,
that away at
yes.
any time. The job could be gone, the boyfriend could leave, the marriage could crumble. I felt all of that. And for that moment when I was going through my dark night of the soul, I did feel homeless because I had not in 40 years built that foundation within myself. And I didn't even know what that looked like. When we build a home within ourselves, we will never be homeless. And that was so incredibly powerful for me.
The work isn't eliminating pain, it's building internal safety so external circumstances don't define our worth.
So that's like the basis of my path and my healing journey is creating a life for myself and knowing, developing all these practices that remind me that I have everything I need within myself.
When we talk about self reclamation, what we're really talking about is remembering ourselves, the version of us that existed before all the conditioning, before we were told who we should be, what we should have, what our lives should look like. That's what Randie means when she talks about coming home, not to a role, not to a relationship, but to herself.
If you could leave listeners with one truth you've reclaimed, what would it be?
As Danae would say, big breath.
Yeah, big breath.
I would say just be still. Be still and know that everything you need is already inside of you, that you and you alone are in control of your peace. And when all the people and the places and the things are gone, you are only left with you. So build your foundation strong so that you will always have a home within.
I just want to let those words linger for a moment. Be still. Build your foundation strong so you always have a home within. Randie, thank you for your honesty, your wisdom, and the way you invite us back to ourselves without pretending the journey is tidy. I'm really grateful for this conversation. And there's more coming because this conversation lasted about 2 hours. So I'm excavating, that becomes relevant later, and editing away. I'll be releasing the full, barely edited video conversation on Spotify in the next couple of weeks so you can sit with the entire arc of this dialogue. Until then, I'll be sharing clips and reflections over on Instagram and TikTok. You can find me at Dr. Jess Hayden. And if you live in New York, Long Island to be specific, you can find Randie's workshop, Welcome Home, The Path to Self-Reclamation, at the Holistic Center for Soulful Living in Smithtown, New York, on January 10th from 2 to 4 p.m. It's an opportunity to slow down, be held in community, and begin building that inner foundation we talked about. All the details are in the show notes. If you'd like to work with Dr. Randie London, check out her Instagram page at Lotus Holistic Healing. That's Lotus Holistic Healing. Thank you for being here, for listening, for reflecting, and for finding your own space between. I'm Dr. Jess Hayden, and you're listening to Simply Heard, The Space Between, a podcast produced by Simply Centered Psychological Services in Raleigh, North Carolina. Take care. Simply Heard is for educational and informational purposes only and is not to be used as a replacement for therapy.